Welcome back to Adorama TV. My name is Gary Hughes, and today I want to talk about something that I use all the time in studio lighting. Have you ever been working on a portrait in the studio only to nail the lighting on the close-up, but when you back out to a medium length or a full-length shot, it completely falls apart? Well, that's a thing that happens to a lot of us when we're learning studio photography, including myself. And today I want to show you my solution for that. Now, before we get started, don't forget that all of the gear that I'm going to use in this video is going to be linked in the description of this video. The great folks at Adorama are really good about making sure that you can find and access anything that you like, that you want to get or check out. So check that out in the description. Now, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use my beautiful model, Stephanie here. That name was crowdsourced. So I'm gonna use this model here to demonstrate what happens, show you the problem, show you one solution, and then show you the best solution. So let's get started. So we're gonna start with the problem. I'm gonna be using just this modifier up here. This is the Cheetah QSB34. It's a 34-inch octabox. And that is metered with my wonderful Sekonic light meter that is metered to f4. And I'll throw the camera settings up on the screen for you. So let's see what happens when you light this full-length portrait with just this one light on the subject. There you go. Now, breaking this down, it actually isn't bad. And if you were just doing head and shoulders, the upper part of this image is illuminated beautifully. But the problem is you can see even from the discoloration of the legs of the mannequin, how much light isn't getting on the rest of the subject or on the background. So what are our options? Well, the option one is to back the light up. And that would be okay. You get a better spread of light if that's the way the light works. As it travels, it sort of spreads out like this, right? So that would give you illumination. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to switch to this other modifier, which is a glow 60-inch umbrella with a white interior. And I'm going to just grab that shot. Again, this is also metered to f4. I'll throw the camera settings on the screen one more time. Boom. Okay. You can see this image does look a lot better in terms of illumination, right? Like everything is lit better from top to bottom as far as the amount of light getting there. But you also, when you back the light up that far away, you can lose quality of light. So even though I have more light on the background, more even light on the subject, I also have really boring light compared to the really cool drama in the first image. So what's the solution? Here's what I would do. I take the two different lights and I layer them on top of each other. And in order to understand how to do this correctly, we're just going to have to do a bit of photography math. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to put my camera down and I'm going to pick up my light meter. Okay, so I'm using, this is the Sekonic L858D-U light meter, which goes everywhere with me. I never ever shoot without this beauty. Now I'm going to leave those two lights in the positions that they're in, and you can see that I have one light that is shooting across the subject, creating this really cool dramatic angle. It's feathered across rather than pointed at her. And I have this other light back here that is way far back, and it's a little more around. It's almost flat, but I would say it's probably 15 degrees off the subject and way back and up in the air. And that way it'll spread out and hit everything. So I'm going to make sure that both of these lights meter at f4, which is what I was shooting at before, right? But here's where you need to make a change in your camera settings. So let's talk about those exposures. Anytime you overlay two light sources on top of each other, wherever those two light sources hit the subject at the same time, you have to account for that combined exposure. So in this case, both lights are metered at f4. And when both of those lights hit the subject in the same place, in this example, it's going to be coming from this side on the mask of the face, the head and shoulders. Anywhere those two lights overlap, it's going to be f5.6. So anytime you take two equivalent exposures like f4, f4, two light sources outputting f4 and combine them together, it's going to do one stop down to f5.6. And likewise, if you take f5.6 and f5.6 and combine those over top of each other with two different light sources, it's going to combine into f8. And f8 and f8 is f11, f11, f11 is f16. Okay, that's it. That's the end of the lesson. All you need to know is meter both light sources to the same power, and when they overlap each other, wherever those two lights hit in the same place, you're going to get the next stop down, which in this case is f5.6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust. All I'm going to do is change my aperture to 5.6. Let's throw those settings right up there on the screen again. And I'm going to take this. Now we're going to have the illumination of the wide far backlight from top to bottom and the quality of light of the smaller light source that's much closer. So it's not going to be quite as bright in illumination as the other one, but it's going to be a lovely, happy medium between the two. All right, so let's see what that looks like. Here we go. And boom. All right, so let's look at all three of these together. First, you're going to have the image that was lit by the 34-inch Octa up close. Not quite enough illumination. Now you're going to have the image that was lit by the large umbrella much further away. Illuminated beautifully, but a little boring. Now you're going to combine the two and compensate for the difference in exposure. And there you have it. You're going to have an image that has illumination from top to bottom, as well as a great direction and quality of light. What's cool about this setup is that you can adjust the power between those two and kind of season it to taste and create the style of image that you want. And it's going to save you a ton of time in post-production. Now, because I know this might not be ideal to see what this looks like on a mannequin, earlier in the week I had Tehran in the studio and I took the opportunity to get some great BTS footage and create some sample image to demonstrate this exact technique on a real human being. So you can see right here, I have Tehran lit with a 34-inch Octa, and then I have Tehran lit with just the 60-inch umbrella from much further away, and then here's Tehran lit with both of those lights overlapped, compensating for the exposure. And then finally, because, I always like to add a couple more lights when I can, I added a little bit of hair light and a little spotlight on the background just to create a little more separation, add in a nice pose, and here's the final image. This technique works for all kinds of things: fashion, model portfolios, business portraits, however you want to use them, family portraits, group portraits. The principle is the same no matter how you want to use it. It's going to save you time in post-production and make your images better right out of camera. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to check in the description for links to all the gear that I used. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Adorama puts out some great content, and we want to make sure that they keep doing that. So stay tuned for more content coming from me in the coming weeks, and I'll see you next time.